Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We are moving on in the Dungeon Master's Guide with the second villainous class
and
option.
finishing the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yes,
Moving
all
on
two
to
of them.
finishing.
Woo! One more book down, guys, we're there.
Yeah.
We are moving on to the Oathbreaker Paladin, another against type,
Right.
against the Oath subclass. If you're new to the channel or to the series, we're going to go through each of the subclass abilities, and then we're going to rate the subclass on its RP value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities improve on the base class.
Founding the foundation and adding to her.
That being said, guys, we're just going to jump straight into the Oathbreaker Paladin.
Right. So most of the other paladins, well, all the other paladins have subclasses have a nice little descriptive thing of what that paladin's oaths are. They have these tenets that are all, good in nature about holiness and righteousness, helping the needy, all that kind of crazy stuff. With Oathbreaker Paladin, you essentially had one of those and you broke those tenets over and over and over again. So you then become this villainous paladin, and you still have all the same martial abilities, but your subclass-based things have now changed. Something more aggressive, more controlling, more sinister. Well, I think like war tyrant paladin almost, kind of what this becomes. Of course, and so some of the spells you get, like Hellish Rebuke, Crown of Madness, Animate Dead, Bestow Curse, Blight, Contagion. You even get Dominate Person as a paladin. So that's really interesting. Not a lot of level 5 spell slots are paladin, but still the fact that you get it is just kind of interesting. And what kind of also adds to the lore of this subclass is you do actually have the option of the Oathbreaker Atonement. So you can work with your DM and figure out a way that if you've broken your tenets as part of it, it'd be a really cool story if you do it right. If you go from being Path of the Ancients, Oath of the Ancients Paladin, you've broken your tenets, now you're Oathbreaker Paladin, but if you have a way to atone yourself again, I think it would be a really cool story arc for a character, which creates some nice base RP for the class as a whole, for sure.
At level 3, you gain your first ability, which is 2 options actually for your Channel Divinity ability. The first is Control Undead. As an action, you can target an undead you can see within 30 feet of you. It must make a Wisdom saving throw. And on a failed save, it must obey your commands for the next 24 hours or until you use the feature again.
Right.
An undead whose challenge rating is equal to or greater than yours is immune to this effect, which is actually pretty crazy because as you get higher level, this actually becomes more useful. The second option you have is your Dreadful Aspect Channel Divinity option. As an action, you channel out your dark emotions.
Angst.
Yeah.
Teenage angst.
Each creature of the Paladin's choice within 30 feet must make a Wisdom save. On a failed save, the target is frightened for 1 minute. If a creature that is frightened ends its turn outside of 30 feet from you, it can make another Wisdom saving throw to end the effect on it. So it's basically a nice fear, frightened ability, and a way to basically dominate undead, essentially there.
Yeah.
The next ability you get is at level 7, which is Aura of Hate. As all the other Paladin subclasses get, you get a certain aura.
Yep.
With this one, any fiend and undead, including yourself as well, and with those two, within 10 feet of you, whenever they make an attack with a melee weapon, they can add damage to their attack equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1. Creatures can only benefit from 1 aura at a time, so you can't just stack a bunch of different paladins in a party if you want to try to do something like that. Level 18, the range increases to 30 feet instead of 10. So it just gets a little bit better, but it's pretty late on there, being 18.
Right. At 15, this is a really simple ability, but a very, very good one for a paladin. Supernatural Resistance. You gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, as I call BPS, for non-magical weapons. Simple enough, but you get the effects of barbarian having to choose to rage to get that immunity. You just get it all the time. Get that nice resistance to the simple damage. And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of beasts and humanoids, and non-casters are going to be most of the time are going to be doing non-magical damage.
Right.
And then for paladins, you got to wait a long time to get that capstone, all the way to level 20. So no multi-class for you. But this is a very interesting one. It's called Dreadlord. So it lasts for a minute. You take an action, you become a Dreadlord for 1 minute. You reduce any light from within 30 feet of you. So A creature that is frightened by you starts its turn in that aura. They take 4d10 psychic damage. So you compare that with your Channel Divinity Dreadful Aspect, make somebody afraid of you, go Dreadlord, and they take 4d10 psychic damage every turn. Additionally, you or any creature of your choice attacks against those targets have disadvantage. So even if it's just you, for a full minute, any attack against you has disadvantage. Yeah. Anybody else you choose within a 30 feet radius. It's a pretty big size range of stuff to cover. And we're not done yet. While the aura is going, you can use your bonus action to force the shadows inside the darkness aura to then make a necrotic damage attack equal to 3d10 plus the Paladin's Charisma modifier. This is a once per day ability, but when you decide to go Dreadlord, you're deciding you want to end the combat rather quickly. Because it's a lot. There's 3 different things, both offensively and defensively, that let you do some really cool stuff for a solid 10 turns in combat. Pretty impressive.
We're going to jump right into the rating portion of the video.
Yes.
First up is the Roleplay Value. With this subclass, again, it's against type. It's a little bit different with the villainous class options. And I think one of the biggest parts of it is having the ability to kind of tailor a story around you with the atonement side of everything, as Alex mentioned. And that is going to be heavily dependent on your DM, though, as well. Right. Whether they even let you be the subclass, or if they maybe you do something bad and they force you to be the subclass. Up to your DM.
Both could happen.
So that's going to be a big factor. But pretty much all of the abilities coming in here are all combat-based. So the only things to look at for our perspective, based on the abilities and spells that you gain, are the atonement kind of lore thing that is heavily dependent on your DM.
Yeah.
And a couple spells like Dominate Person, Animate Dead, kind of, maybe Crown of Madness, very situational. So we had to give it a 2.5 out of 5 flumps for the RP value. Again, if your DM is heavily invested in your character arcs, it could very well be higher than that, but again, heavily dependent on the DM.
Okay.
And all of your straight up subclass abilities are purely combat based.
Yep, pretty much. Speaking of combat, this class is better at the combat than it is at the RP and subclasses. We went with a 4 out of 5 flumps here as well. Thought about going higher, but the main reason why we didn't was your Dreadlord thing, you have to wait all the way to level 20 to get it.
Yeah.
It's when you hit it, good lord, are you a wrecking machine? But you have no options, no versatility to dip another multi-class thing.
Right.
If you're interested in trying to do that to make a more complex character, or trying to just find a character that fits exactly how you want to play, you don't have that option. Because to me, if you're going to play this, you want to get to that Dreadlord thing. Otherwise, you're really missing out on the whole point of the subclass. Yeah. So it kind of limits you there. The supernatural resistance is great, but once you got to make it to level 15 to get there. A lot of campaigns don't ever hit that.
Yeah,
so
another side comment on that is most of the other subclasses and other classes have their capstone by 14.
Yeah.
A lot of them have 14, maybe 17.
Yeah.
You're talking 15 and 20 for your top end here.
Yeah, your Aura of Hate is not, you don't get to use it against allies. I mean, it doesn't help all your allies. It's just you and fiends and undead.
Right. And
it doesn't become a really usable radius until, once again, level 18.
Yeah.
So once it's really like the combat's like a 2.5, 3 until you hit like 15 plus, and then it becomes like a 5 later. So that's why we kind of averaged it out to overall. It's kind of it's good at what it adds there to it. But if the Aura of Hate could help all allies, if the Dreadlord was at like 18 instead of 20, and if you got the Resistance at like 12 instead of 15, if you just got some of these abilities early, so you're not having to wait as long to get to them.
Yeah.
Being able to control an undead, and that scales really well. So you actually can control CR 16, 17, even 18 undead. That's really, really cool down the road. Your fright thing is going to be better early on, and against small stuff later on, if you're not going to be able to make dragons afraid of you, and and big things, liches and such. Yeah. It's not going to happen. At least the odds are beyond slim. But overall, very solid combat build on the subclass.
Again, the Aura of Hate. Between the Aura of Hate and Supernatural Resistance, you're basically Raging Barbarian.
Pretty much.
2 of your abilities kind of make you like a Barbarian. The biggest difference with that is the amount of damage is slightly higher than a Barbarian for the Rage with the Aura of Hate.
Yeah.
But the Supernatural Resistance is level 15.
Versus
really early.
Level 2.
And another huge difference between paladins and barbarians is heavy armor versus no armor.
Right.
So your armor class is probably going to be, your paladin probably going to be in the 20s.
And it's
by the time you get
it's
level 15,
it's minimum 18, 19 by by level 2 or 3.
So if you're getting hit,
you're probably 20 plus at that point.
If you're not getting hit very often, the extra resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing isn't as important.
True.
So another thing to keep in mind there. But still, solid 4 or 5. Pretty good all around.
Yes.
Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. This is actually pretty interesting, just because the way Channel Divinity works with your base class, obviously.
Yep.
But I think the coolest thing with this subclass is the way your Channel Divinity works with your capstone ability with Dreadlord.
Yeah.
Because there's a very clear synergy. It says it adds that if frightened,
But from the paladin,
they take
frighten
extra
the paladin.
40-10 psychic damage.
Right.
Well, how is the paladin going to frighten something? Use your dreadful aspect.
Use your channel divinity.
So that's pretty cool. Of course, the bludgeoning, piercing, slashing resistance. Being a paladin, you're wearing heavy armor. You're going to be up in combat. That's going to help you stay
You're
in
a martial
combat.
class. Get in there.
Whether as important as other classes may get it or not, whatever, it's still going to be important to help and keep you alive.
Period.
So it is pretty good, and it helps you do your duty of getting in there and smashing some face, especially with some of the other things like smites and things that you're going to get as a paladin, giving that heavy emphasis on being in melee.
Right.
You do have ranged spells, but most of them are going to be utility spells at range, like can dominate person things are not damage dealing. So you're in there hitting face. The aura, all paladins have auras. Just helps you when you're in combat to do your job better.
Right.
And encourage those around you. If you have undead pets with animate dead or whatever, it's going to give them extra damage. Probably not going to hit too much with that, but it is what it is.
Every little bit helps.
With overall synergy, we decided to give a 4 out of 5 for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid. Cool synergy between the abilities themselves, and there is of course some synergy with the base class as well.
Right.
So just a nice combination of with the base class and with each other inside the subclass. But again, very heavy on the top end of things. A lot of campaigns, like we mentioned a lot, don't make it to 20.
Right.
So something to keep in mind. It's really cool at the top end, but just make sure, like with your DM, if the whole campaign that you're doing is going to end at level 5, this subclass doesn't get anything other than the Channel Divinity. You know what I mean? So it's very top heavy on the abilities. So it's going to be dependent on your campaign setting for sure. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the last subclass in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Can't believe we made it through. It seems like it's been forever we've been in this book.
We've been working so long.
We're through
months
two books now through the subclass series. We're moving on to, I believe we're going to go to the Sword Coast Adventures Guide next subclasses. So keep in mind for those.
Right.
There it is.
We'll get there.
So guys, if you like the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when our new videos come out. And as always, guys,
Thanks so much.